My name is Ashley and I'm 26 years old. When I was 17 years old, I got into a relationship. I believe it was the first time we had sex, I got pregnant. I was like, no, that can't happen to me. Like, in my non-nuclear family, I am little Ashley. My heart sunk. I had no idea what to do, and I knew that it was a baby. But after I got pregnant, it's just like all of that stuff that I knew kind of went out the window because I was so scared. I thought that my family would beat me up. I thought that they would, for lack of a better term, stone me. I was just terrified. He has scholarships from many, many different schools in the States asking him to play for him. I was like, he's not going to want this baby. He really isn't. Me having this baby really depended on what he said. And as time went on, a little bit of time went on, he's like, you know what, Ashley, I really want this baby. I want to keep this baby. I don't want us to abort this baby. And in my head, I was like, are you crazy? Like, are you serious? Because this is not what I expected at all. I had set myself up in my heart and in my head to have an abortion. I was like, okay, this could work because I love children. Like, I absolutely love children. I started preparing myself to have a baby. I started preparing myself to receive the life that was growing on the inside of me. We just started preparing, saying different names for this child, trying to figure out different names for this baby. At one point, my mom found out. She wasn't happy, to say the very least. She told my dad. His response was the very first response that I've ever experienced with a father's love. But he came to me, he's like, stand up. And I was like, no, I don't want to stand up. He's like, stand up. So I stood up, and he wrapped his arms around me. And he was like, it's going to be okay. At maybe about 4 months, my boyfriend at the time did a complete and total switch. He's like, you're not having this child. You don't have the finances, you don't have this, you don't have that, you won't have this, and you won't have that. I didn't feel like I could do it without him. And I was like, I don't want to be a single mom, as selfish as that is. Those were the things that were going on in my head, and I completely felt hopeless. Like, there was nothing else that I could do. As the day got closer and weeks before the abortion was scheduled, February 23rd and February 24th, in my heart I was like, I can't sit there, I can't lie there and have them kill my baby. I can't do it. And I called him and I told him with choice words, he's like, no, you're gonna do this. You don't have a choice, this is what's gonna happen. You're going to do this. I was really, really hurt. And I'm feeling my baby move inside of me. I'm feeling kicks and little flutters. He took me to the abortion clinic. I remember sitting in the waiting room, and they took me inside I guess you could call it the counseling room. I don't remember all that they said to me. And then I went inside another room where I got changed, and I went inside another room where I sat literally by myself. And then they called me into another room. And I believe they inserted something in me and put me inside the waiting room. And then I believe it was at that point that the nurse came to me and she's like, you know what, your boyfriend tried to come in and stop the abortion because he realized that you were only doing it for him. I looked at her and I just started crying. I just started weeping. I was like, what am I supposed to do now? What do I do now? And I looked across from me and there was an older lady there, and she was crying so hard that they had to close the curtain and bring her significant other. And I just started crying. I left and I went home, and then every time I went to the washroom, I would pee chunks. The next day, I went in, my dad took me because my boyfriend had to go to school. I remember they gave me a pill, and the pill caused me to contract. I sat in a room by myself, contracting and in pain, and then they took me into the other room where I got put on the metal slab. All I remember is seeing blurred faces around me and them having to hold me down at one point, and then I felt my baby pass from me. And I will never forget that feeling. It was hard. After that, I went inside the waiting room and I cried again. I literally just wept. My prom was in June, so the abortion happened in the winter. My prom was in June, and I was still with this guy. And he looked at me, he's like, why aren't you happy? This should be like the happiest day. Like, why aren't you happy? I'm like, all I want is my baby back. That is all I want. I can remember feeling, after that, just completely and totally hating myself. I didn't like myself, I was suicidal, all of that. You can take a child from the womb, but you can't take the memory of the child from the mother. Like, I was 5 months when I had the abortion, and that hurt. That pain hurt. And then my pastor had to administer and pray healing over me because I was that hurt and that broken. And that day I received healing, and God also showed me that my baby is in heaven with him, and that he has time that he has him, I am most definitely an advocate for women. One of the things that people say abortion is just very, it's very moving, or not moving, but more so like women's rights, you know? There's no joy in it at all. Even those who have just completely numbed themselves, there's no joy in being numb. But one of the other things that I notice is that children always bring joy. Even my nephew and my nieces, they bring me so much joy. And if you're unexpectedly pregnant, your child will always bring you joy, no matter what the circumstance is. That's the reason why I am walking, is because children deserve life and mommies deserve to be mommies.